They very talented, right? You know, they can be anything from comedy, and we've seen them do things on the internet that are amazing. But the challenge has been, how do you show up? How do you show up to network? You know, you can't just say, you know, it's okay to smoke weed in California. You're absolutely right. It is okay to smoke weed in California. But it's also okay not for somebody to hire you because you come in smelling like weed. So, you know, showing up on time, understanding communication. Brotherhood Crusade, we've been around since 1968. So we've done a lot of research in regards and partnering with organizations across the nation with discovering some of the things that employers look for. You know, are you reliable? Can you communicate? Are you a team player? Can you be autodidactic in the ability to be able to research certain, but if I give you a parameter of how to do something, can you go in and execute? Because the interview phase is just the beginning. My actual title here at Brotherhood Crusade, I'm the job placement liaison. So my actual job title is I work with employers on the back end once we place the interns to kind of visit the sites, see how they're doing, and the ultimate goal is at the end of the internship hours, once our participants complete, is to put them in long-term employment. I mean, we even talking about if they're in high school, like summer employment, after school, work with parents, work with families any way we can to figure out what kind of ways we can develop some sort of income stream from them. Because one of the things we do understand is the earlier our young people start with understanding discipline, with understanding taking accountability, the better they can be, especially when they start assimilating and going through college, trade school, or even the military, and knowing what they want to accomplish. So with that, just in case somebody remember my name, Chad Hunter, take one of these, pass it down. Now you can hold on to this. There's one at each one of the desks. So what you're getting now is actually a score sheet. So we ask you when the participant comes in, you don't have to rush through it. I do recommend probably think about certain questions you would ask in regards to your industry. One of the things each participant was given was a list of all the companies that were showing up. So in some manner, you know, they should have some idea of what you do or your company. They may not know your name, but at least your company and what you're doing while you're here. And so in this, the score sheet, we're very, very serious about this. The firm handshake, the eye contact, introducing themselves, dressed appropriately. Please do not, and I ask a lot of employers this. I know it's like, I don't want to be too hard on so-and-so, and it's like, if we're not giving them that rigid, honest truth here, they're not gonna get it out there. So this is where we want them to make mistakes. This is where we want them to get nervous. A lot of them are already nervous, calling mom and dad like, hey, can you come sit with me? Like, no, we've already prepared the parents. So there are parents who literally drop their babies off and like, I see at 1 o'clock at the interview, at the graduation. And if any of you guys want to stay for the graduation, you're more than welcome to stay and, you know, interact with our young people. This group of young people, so just to give you an idea, when a participant comes to Brotherhood Crusade, their first step is intake. Okay, with Miss Yvette Bentley, who sits down, goes over the program. We have probably about 16 to 17 different funding sources, from City General Fund to YOA to SYEP to, it's a lot, to private funders from the Clippers to the Dodgers. So we have a lot of these pots that we can work with our young people as far as supportive services and intern services, right? Once they do their intake, they then come into this room and go through something we call life skills. It's a 2-week course, Monday through Thursday, 2 hours. So we try to get about 18 to 20 hours. It's basically an introduction course to the Brotherhood Crusade way. You know, how you show up, stand up, speak up, shake a hand, introduce yourself. Not surprising, a lot of our participants have a hard time with shaking somebody's hand properly, have a problem with looking somebody in the eye, speaking clearly about who they are and what they want to accomplish. So the life skills course teaches them basically introduction to Brotherhood Crusade. We introduce them to resume, we introduce them to interviewing, we introduce them to cover letters and LinkedIn pages. After that, they usually go through 1 or 2 courses. We have a Wonder Seeds course. Wonder Seed is a social emotional course we do that actually focuses on some of our young people who have went through very traumatic experiences. So, you know, we do have young people that can show up to an interview with Kevin, and the next thing you know, the interview grows great. And they like, yeah, you know, but the challenge is I'm feeling so good. My mom's still addicted to crack. I gotta go over here. Sometimes I use crack too, but I think I'm ready to come work with you. Like, whoa, hey. Because sometimes in the Wonder Seed experience, we've learned that is probably the first time a lot of our participants have ever been able to have somebody hear them, right? And so what do you do with that trust? We actually partner, we have a third party organization we partner with called the Amada Project, which is a primarily black centered, I say that way, black centered mental health organization where any of our participants, we actually can refer them over to, oh, you need mine now?
Whenever you get a chance.
Thank you. Everybody, this is Miss Regina King, one of our job united preparing our kids. You'll see her running around also today. And so when we start to, open up these emotions and these thoughts and these feelings of these traumatic things, whether it be from sexual trauma as growing up a kid, or abuse, or assault, or neglect, or we have participants who come out of homeless shelters or in group homes. So when they come here, it's not that you weren't able to get a job, it's how are you showing up to the job with the trauma you're already attached to. So with our Wonder Seed cohort, that allows us to focus on a lot of social emotional and balance them out. Let me not say balance them out, but get them to talk about it where it's not oversharing to the point where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, Arnell, you cool, but yeah, you got a lot going on. Yeah, right. So from there, we partner with the Amada Project, who actually does one-on-one mental health sessions with our participants, and we also do group sessions called Fire Circle. So they can continue even while they're in their new places of an internship. They at least have a place to come back to where they can talk about what they're experiencing. How they're choosing friends. Some of the impediments that they're going through with not having housing or maybe not having food. And then that way we can work with our case managers. I'm pointing back here because behind this wall, that's where our case managers sit. Who can come up with more of a supportive services plan, right? How can we help you get clothing? How can we help you find housing? Maybe Amada is a step, but we need to get you to the Department of Mental Health that can give you a little bit more services while we partner with you and walk you through this emotional challenge that you're going through, which being able to show up. So then after that, we come to where we're here today, Job Club. Job Club is a very intense program. I'm the lead on Job Club, so my responsibility is to work with the job development team. And what we do is we literally go through, it's almost like anybody heard of the movie Major Payne? I would almost say it's kind of like a training course like that. It's like really, all jokes aside, I got you guys for 2.5 hours. Let's really now dive into what you learned in life skills, dive into what you want to learn in Wonder Seed. Our curriculum for our Job Club is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Sean Covey, Stephen Covey's son. And then we also use our 45 traits of success that we use for the participants to read over, self-affirmations, and come over. So some of our participants will be overwhelmed because a lot of them are going through graduation right now. A lot of them are, getting prepared to go in the summertime, and they know you guys are here, and they're like, I just went from doing mock interviews and having fun with Chad and Leo and Miss King. Now I got real employers I don't know. And they're like, yep, that's called life. Let's get ready. Oh, but I got school, and then after school, I got this and I got this. That's called life. How are you gonna figure it out? Proper preparation. How are we gonna prepare you to go into these spaces? Because when you're by yourself, Chad's not gonna be there to prompt you to say, did you read your resume? Did you read the job description? Did you understand the history of this company? Do you understand what you bring to the table for this company to want to be able to hire you? And are you able to tell the company or ask the company what is about their company and their culture that may connect with who you are and why you should be there, right? So this is the goal of Brotherhood Crusade, so that once they leave here, and some are faster than others, once they leave here unprompted, they're able to actually go through a whole process of knowing how to speak to a LinkedIn page, knowing how to use their cover letter, their resume, knowing how to research positions, know how to read through them, and then also knowing their natural talent to be able to show up and say, this is what I bring to this space. This is what I can do for you. Okay, and then ask you about you. Like Dale, I know you're working with King, right? I think his name is King?
I was working with King, but I haven't heard from King.
Okay, he just graduated this week, so
Really?
that's yeah. So I'll talk to Leo about that. So see,
Okay.
this is why it's important. So this is why it's important. The employers and myself have conversations.
Yes.
because, just in this calendar year, we've went through over 800 participants.
Yeah.
And then at any given time, our president and CEO, Mrs. Greenmont, can call me and say, Chad, what's going on with Amir Pickney? Huh?
Yeah.
And then if the team didn't tell me, and then the employer doesn't call me, and then I'm over here working with, little Austin, I'm like, no, where's the communication at, right?
Yes.
So, yes. So like in the sense of that, working with King, who does know a lot about, technology, and I don't know what Leo has he working with. They just told me that this is what the relationship is. So, with that, a lot of our participants, and this is why we appreciate the internship hours, because it is that stage where they can make mistakes. To be transparent, some of our participants have went in on intern hours, didn't work out, and the companies emailed me and was like, he gotta go. No call, no shows, he's not taking this serious. And that's where we pull them out and say, hey, you gotta come back in, we gotta do some programming with you. What's going on? Why aren't you showing up? Why aren't you communicating? And then, because we have such a nice litter, prepare somebody else to come into the space. And then on the employer side, what we appreciate is, there's probably time, energy loss, but not money, not the idea of like bringing on somebody that you eventually have to let go. Going through background checks and a lot of things that employers have to go to hire somebody to only find out like a month later, like, I gotta fire you. Okay, first week went great, and the last 3 weeks you hadn't even texted and called me, let me know what's going on. These are the type of things we try to address here at Brotherhood Crusade. So with that, look at the score sheets. Yes, generally 5 questions. Your interviews are gonna be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. When we get down to about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, I'll let you know, hey, time to wrap up. The way it's going to happen is we do a process called 1-2 back to 1 or 1-2 back to 2. And what that basically means is you're probably going to interview the same candidate twice so that you can see that they learn anything or that they develop from the first time that you met with them. If time permits, we may rotate and switch groups where some may go to another group that you're meeting and some may stay with a certain group. And then, yes, please write their name on here, and then also just fill this out. If you need to, please write on the back, and this just helps us. If you notice, the scores, and we were talking about this as a team, the score at the bottom, you just tally up everything that they did, total it, write it in, and yeah. I'll say this, to get a 35, which is a quote-unquote passing grade to be hired, is not as easy as a lot of the participants thought. When we were going through our mock interviews over this last week, a lot of them were like, I did great, but I got 29, 30. We was like, yeah, you did great, but you didn't get hired. What were you missing? Shirt wasn't tucked in. I didn't shake hands. I didn't make eye contact. I didn't give the resume or cover letter over. I didn't show up on time. I mean, we had one participant showed up 20 minutes late for his second interview he was supposed to be. Then I was walking through, his job developer was talking to him, was like, are you ready to go for your interview? He was like, oh, 5 more minutes. Oh, okay. And so that was immediate, like, no deduction. And so when I wrote that down and sent it to a job developer, but for him, it started making sense. Because in his mind, it was, some of our young people have like a approach to the world like, oh, it's not that serious. Like, you said 2, why are you tripping? I'm only here 20 minutes late. Right? Yeah, Kevin's in film. 20 minutes can cost money. That's where somebody who was depending on hold a camera angle that he had to redo for 20 minutes, and now he reset up the whole set. You just walked in here 30 minutes late. Now he's like, I just came up with a whole nother plan that you're not included in.
Have you ever asked them why they think that's appropriate for them to say what they say? Just kind of, see how they process. I mean, because some of the things coming out of their mouth is
yeah.
like, wow.
Great question. We do ask why. Some of them say I didn't know. Some of them will tell you I just really didn't care.
Could I add a little perspective on that too? In construction, we have safety meetings, and there were some brothers who came from the neighborhood who were on a job, and they would purposely, even to get there on time, they would stand back and wait till the safety meeting was almost over to pop up, because it was kind of a way of showing that I'm special, I'm tough,
Mhm.
you know, I ain't nobody's, you know, sissy,
Yeah.
whatever like that. I'm hard, you know what I'm saying? They had a hard perspective. And then the superintendent and the foreman have already had jobs and assignments lined up. And they count on the people who are there early to know what assignment's gonna put so and so and so and so on.
Mhm.
And this person comes and walking at the end of the safety meeting, talking about, oh, you know, I'm here now,
Mhm.
what you want me to do?
Yeah.
You know, so those are the kind of examples of, especially from the street level, you know,
Mhm.
some of the youngsters, you know, it's just, and rebellion is, and being bad behind is, you know.
Yeah,
badge.
we have a few participants who understand when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah.
They learned from working with me, I'm very stern and strict.
Yeah.
I wish Zakora probably Ume was here. Zakora is our life skills coach.
Right.
I pretty much have a discussion with a lot of the young people where the amount of work I do to find strategic partnerships with employers to make sure that you are successful. If you don't show up, why would I be confident to put you back out there?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it would have to be cleared by me.
Let me
In the
just
team.
share just the last part of that
Mhm.
story. That same brother was, got arrested at the wrong place and was going to county jail. And he told me later that he broke out in tears as he drove by the job site in a bus
Mhm.
going to jail instead of being at work.
Yeah, and all I had to do was be on time.
Yeah, and he was.
Yeah, all I had to do was be on time, and I probably wouldn't even be on this bus. Right now?
Yeah, so you said if we interview them twice, by the second time, they may have learned something.
We like to see if they picked up.
How do they do that? Is there real-time feedback or something between the first interview and the second?
Yeah, so once you finish your interview, there's usually a 2 to 3, like a 5-minute grace period where, you know, the participants go to the bathroom, allow you guys to get some water, but we ask you to fill this out. And so then somebody like Jada, Austin, or Miss King are taking your score sheet and they're reading it and they're going over it with them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, they're doing multiple interviews, and
Mhm.
between each interview, they're getting that feedback.
Mhm.
I see. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and then some of them are gonna be on break.
Okay.
So some of them will probably be back in the kitchen where the job development staff and myself will have, you know, your score sheet, whereas we're reading it to them, and while you're interviewing, those who are not interviewing are in the back and we're kind of going over,
I see.
you know, what this process was like.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Are we gonna get more than,
Yeah.
like, how many people will we interview?
Probably 3.
Okay.
3 to 4. At your assigned desk, everybody has their own assigned desk. At your assigned desk, you already have these there.
Okay.
But you can use these at your cheat sheet. You can write them up, mark them up, put your notes in, you know the questions you wanna ask. And yeah, we look forward to a great day.
All right.
One other question. Obviously, we need to focus our questions and our standards based on the industry that you're involved in.
Yes, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, so,
There's a bleed over that would be different.
yes, so some of them, when they walk in the room with you, the preparation for this is pretty much overwhelming in this way. They now are learning about 6 or 7 different companies, right? So their responsibility was to Google, was to find LinkedIn pages, was to find Instagram pages, was to ask us questions, unprompted, so they can get an idea of the employer, the companies that they're representing. So some of them may come in. I'm one that likes to err on the side of honesty, where if I'm sitting next to you, I can clearly say, you know I'm just looking for a job. I don't know too much about construction, right? That goes a long way. Like I tell the participants a story where I don't have a background in like trucking or anything like that, but I ended up but I have a background in sales. I ended up working at Sparkless Water in the sales department. Then I found out how much the drivers made. Like, I don't know anything about driving, but I became a driver once I started seeing how much money they made, right? And so from there, I had to learn how to drive a commercial vehicle. I had to learn what it meant to be in shape. You know, what type of boots I had to wear so my lower back and my legs wouldn't go out on me. understanding where to park and not hit cars, right? One of the common sayings we used to say in Sparkless all the time, it's not if you got in an accident, it's when. You're driving around a 17-ton truck every day and you have to drive near perfectly every day, something's gonna happen. Whether you hit or somebody gonna hit you, here's what happens, right? And so from there, delivering over 250 water bottles a day for 5 years straight, and then within my first year becoming a top driver in Sparklets, all because I want to maximize my money. Once they told me how they pay, I was like, okay, let me do this. It just so happened, it turned out that I also got awards for it. So in showing up to spaces, and I remember doing my interview for Sparklets, I expressed, I don't have a background, I know this. Are you sure I'm not, and I got a dad bod now, right? I'm recently engaged, so I've been eating real good. Coming home to cook meals and things like that, right? Oh, and I'm at Brotherhood Crusade, and you know how much we eat around here, okay? We eat food all the time. So with that, I was in shape. I knew how I can learn. I got a great driving record. Let me just try to figure this. The hardest part was trying to figure out how to find somebody's address, right? That was frustrating. So, you got this 10-story building, and I'm supposed to deliver water into a luxury building, and I don't even know how to get in the building. And somebody's expecting 3 bottles of 5-gallon bottles. I'm not a company with what? I gotta figure that out. I called my manager, he would say, well, it's not called, my favorite manager was Ken Sterling. I used to call him when I first started. Hey Ken, how do I get into this building? Well, it's called Sparkless Water, it's not Ken Water. They want you in the building, you gotta figure out how to get in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you accepted the job, didn't you? At a certain point, I can't hold your hand through everything you're doing. You need to figure out a manager, somebody you need to call, because it's your route now. You have to figure out how you get into this building. Because somebody was getting water to this couple before you got here. So, in the interview process, I encourage them, just be honest. I've never been in construction, I've probably never been in real estate, I've never thought about being an actor, I've never done any social media campaign, and that may be a good question. Do you have a training process for me? I know I have the will to do it, and let me tell you about an example I've had in my life where I've had to relearn something about myself and adapt to it. Do you provide training for certain areas? Kevin, you in film, do you allow us to go through a process of learning how to edit and put together things, or do you expect me to already know that when I show up? And now I'm having an honest conversation with you.
Right. I wanted to say this. We recently, he was actually part of a field trip we took to a company called Red Camera, which is the manufacturer of this camera, and they had us go through this assembly line. They're one of the few companies that does advanced manufacturing of the high-end products in this country. And all the people working on these assembly lines manufacturing these high-end cameras, these $200,000 pieces of camera, were people who literally never went to school, didn't get GED. And I asked him, well, how do these people get these jobs? They're now engineers. He said, the only thing I asked them to do is show up. You show up the second time, I can train you. And that was the most important thing that he felt was the reason why these people would turn from, folks who just showed up on the second day to engineers and testing these equipments and everything, was that they showed up and they paid attention. And most of them were Latino, Hispanic, but I don't know if our kids have actually ever understood how important it is just to be hungry.
Yeah. That's one of the things we try to do. I know I try to do here, brother, is some competition isn't jealousy. Just because you're competing with somebody or they're critiquing you doesn't mean they're hating on you, right? It's sometimes it's a competition is to bring the best out in you, and what you do. I'm like, if you, a lot of our kids love talking about Kobe. I'm like, if you go back and look at that man's mentality, he had to create ways to keep himself motivated. Because his thing was what? If you too much my friend, I'm not trying to hang out with you. Like, no, I'm trying to destroy you. Not kill you, but you're not gonna get the best of me out on this court. Right? I know I'm paid, I know this, but at the end of the day, I'm not walking in looking my daughters in the face and then somebody else just embarrassed me on national TV. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
So
the question is, how do you teach motivation, hunger, that drive?
One thing I like about Brotherhood Crusade, our program, we started self-actualization. And so in starting our participants and understanding who they are, we understand what motivates them. Because everybody's motivated by something different. A lot of our older participants that come in, I would say like 21 to 24, they've been through some things. They probably went to college, dropped out, they probably had some sort of disappointment. Some of them are in group homes because they're already with the Department of Mental Health. So when they come in, it's kind of like I need to get my life together, and their thing is I need to get it together now. Like there's no such thing as now. You're not gonna live 22 years of life and then just walk in and say, Chad, can you fix this in a month? It's not gonna happen like that. There's gonna be some problems. We're not gonna get along. You're gonna make some mistakes. We're gonna make some mistakes. And trying to put you in places maybe too soon or too late, but that's part of the process. So to figure out their motivation is really like building a relationship with them first. Once we can build a relationship and they trust us, like the ones who are coming here and they start to trust us, we can then understand how to motivate them. So, Alicia?
Yeah, question. Do you start early trying to get a sense of what they've been through in life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
first,
so
yeah.
life
That's it,
skills
yeah.
is just, our life skills course is just to kind of set up, these are the Brotherhood Crusade rules, okay? Don't come in with cut off or ripped jeans, don't come in smelling like weed, do not wear sweats, do not wear flip flops and Crocs. And a lot of our participants, even for them to come pick up their check, they have to be dressed in the proper attire. And a lot of them like, why are you so hard on us? Because it's not gonna be that easy out there on you. This is a work site. And so of course, because they see a lot of the youth come in, they think it's like it is a youth center, right? But they think it's like a hangout spot, we can chill. And when we start walking through, like, nah, you gotta go. Why have you? Well, you should have put it in your bag or something. Why didn't you put it in your backpack? So,
And what we dealing with students who've already been through that process?
yes, some have and get it. Some I've already seen a few, and I'm already like they're not in dress code, but it's too late now. This is part of the process. So,
Last question, what is the dress code for them today?
dress code typically we want a tie, collared shirt, slacks, clean shoes, belt,
Tucked in shirt,
tucked in shirt. I've already seen a few, but like I tell them when we walk in, when
Are
they
they
do
all, guys?
oh no, there's some ladies.
Oh, okay.
There's some ladies. And then for women professional attire, I know some of them are in nice women business suits. Some of them have like the blouses and things on. Jada goes more of like the dress code for women. So I don't want to embarrass myself to say something. I don't know anything about women's clothing and dressing professionally. So yes, we even want you to talk about that because in this today is one of those days where it's like, we're not here to coach you today.
But we're not giving feedback.
You can if you want.
Oh.
Yeah, now if you want to give feedback, please do. You know, if you notice like the interview, it's like, okay, let me take a step back, let's talk. Let me talk to you as an employer where, you know, if you were to come in and sit with me, why I would be uncomfortable or why this would be great. So we leave it open for you guys to give feedback also. And then even when you're done, if you sit in the hallway, you can sit and talk to them. Some of them probably tell you a story and you'll be like, cool. I want to see if this young man or young woman is going to be available for an internship next month. Okay, so just got to give you guys an idea as employers. Now, June is when we wrap up our program year. So as of right now, we cannot place any other participants because we're wrapping up the program year, working with the city, the county, the state with, you know, exiting kids and getting ready to re-enroll kids in July 1st where they start off with brand new hours. So many of the participants you see by the second or third week of July will be in a position to be placed at any one of your establishments. So, like I always tell the employers, because a lot of employers come in, Kevin's great at this, I just want to let y'all know, Kevin's great at what I'm saying, what I'm about to say. A lot of our employers will come, they'll sit with me, we talk, and they're like, well, y'all didn't tell me we had anybody. You never let me know you needed anybody. I don't know your staffing, right? The goal is email a job developer or email myself or text a job developer myself, say, hey, I have this event coming up. The sooner the better, because then we can, we can prepare, right? I have this weekend event coming up for 3-4 days. Do you have anybody who's between this age, who has exemplified this, who's willing to learn this space. Absolutely, Lil Chad, come on over. So this is the job, and then we set it up. They come out do an interview with you. We email you their resume and cover letter, and whether they do it virtually or in person, it's a real job process. And even though we have the idea like, okay, we know Dale's gonna bring them on, we still want them to go through that feeling of prepping for an interview, and then waiting for that, get that anxiety of, well, is Dale gonna hire me? Right? So like right now, we have a relationship with Aura Cafe. We have a relationship with Simply Wholesome, Caribbean Soul Kitchen, Soul Folks. We Doolins, right? And if any, for a lot of us who probably went to college or experienced anything, a lot of us worked in food at some point at a restaurant or something. So having these relationships are really, really beneficial with us because it does create the work habits that we want to see. And, if you get a chance, you can, on the other side of this wall right here, there's a board full of pictures. All those pictures with those young people with, I got the job and different things, those just happened in the last 2 months. And those are just the ones we were able to capture. We have many, many more. And so we're privileged enough where people, certain institutions like a Simply Wholesome, like an Aura Cafe, once the hours are up, they went to participants and said, we want to keep you on long term. And that's been truly beneficial, especially for a place like Simply Wholesome, has a lot of turnover. Caribbean Soul Cafe, because at the end of the day, these are small black businesses, and so they're happy to find motivated young African American individuals from the South LA, from the Crenshaw, from the Slauson area that are like, thank you for giving me the opportunity to work in my community. Now after that, our goal is what? Get them in a position where they can afford to buy property and keep their families here in their community, right? So that's the ultimate goal of Brotherhood Crusade. We just don't want you to get your internship. No, we want to develop. Now that you're at Simply Wholesome, we're gonna go to the military, or we're gonna go into a trade school, or we're gonna go into college. Because now that we got you in, let's develop these skills. Let's get you better, so you can compete in 2 to 3 years with artificial intelligence. So with that, anybody other questions? Because about that time, I got this for you. Yeah. So what I'll do if I'll go find, if you want to grab some coffee or some water, please do right now.
Okay.
Every desk is labeled, so just look for your company name, and that is going to be your desk and your location for the day.
Okay.
All right, and then afterwards, once we're done, we'll come back in here about 12:30, probably 12:45. We have a quick survey we want you guys to fill out for us. And then after that, you can join us upstairs. We would love to have you join us for the graduation. That way you can even talk to some of the young people, probably create like a little impromptu panel, and what you experienced. And feel free to highlight those who did great. Like, praise is always a great thing. So with that, yes, you'll see me running around doing the timer. I think everybody has like their captain. It's either gonna be Jada Irving, Regina King, or Austin, and you'll see them kind of roaming around your area if you need help with anything or have any questions. All right.
Where is the restroom?
Oh, restrooms are that back door, and it's going to be the first door to the left.
Okay.
Quick question, Chad. So obviously I came in a little late, so we're just gonna go to these queues outside, and what's the time?
So it's from 15 to 20 minutes per participant. These are the score sheets we're asking everybody to fill out. So if you want to run through it, like basically your business, we are very strong on all of these. And then what kind of questions you want to ask, feel free to, write something like that. You can take this one, you can mark it up if you like, ask your guest now. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.